I destroyed my marriage because my husband's body disgusted me. And now everyone thinks I'm getting what I deserve. They say karma finally caught up to the shallow woman who threw away a good man over 20 pounds. What nobody knows is that I spent 2 years trying to hide how physically repulsed I became. And the affair was just the breaking point of something much darker inside me. My friends have cut me off. My family barely speaks to me. Jake's glowing up all over social media. Abs showing, designer suits, a girlfriend who looks like she walked off a magazine cover. While I'm still in our old apartment, working the same job, watching his life become everything I thought I wanted. But I need to explain what actually happened, because the version of events floating around makes me a villain in a simple story. The truth is so much worse than anyone realizes, including what I did the night before he found out. I'm going to walk you through every decision, every lie, every moment I knew I was crossing a line and did it anyway. By the end, you'll understand why I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking whether any of you would have done differently if you'd felt what I felt. Because there's one piece of this story I've never told anyone, and it's the reason I can't sleep at night. Jake was my college sweetheart. We met sophomore year at a party, where he was the guy actually helping clean up, instead of doing keg stands. He was studying engineering, had these warm brown eyes, and this solid, dependable presence. He wasn't the hottest guy I dated, but he was the kindest. My friends loved him. My mom loved him. I loved how safe I felt with him. We got married at 26. Normal wedding, nothing extravagant. Jake landed a good job at an engineering firm. I was working in marketing. We bought a small house in the suburbs, talked about kids in a few years. Instagram-worthy relationship goals, right? He'd always been average build, not athletic, but not overweight. Around year 3 of our marriage, he started gaining weight. Slowly at first. His job got more demanding, required longer hours. He'd come home exhausted. We'd order takeout. Weekends became about recovering, not hiking like we used to. I noticed when his pants got tighter, when he needed new work shirts, when our wedding photo on the mantle showed a different version of him. 20 pounds became 30. 30 became 40. I told myself it didn't matter. He was the same person. Bodies change. I wasn't some superficial person who only cared about appearance. I loved Jake for who he was inside. Except I started avoiding sex. Making excuses. Headaches, early meetings, exhaustion. He noticed. Asked if something was wrong. I blamed work stress. Said I was just going through something. He believed me because Jake always believed me. The truth? I couldn't stop noticing his body. The way his stomach pressed against me. How his face had gotten rounder. I felt horrible about it, disgusted with myself for even thinking that way. This was the man who'd held me through my father's death, who'd supported my career, who'd never once made me feel anything but cherished. So I tried harder. Initiated sex even when I didn't want to. Kept my eyes closed, pretended everything was fine. I thought eventually I'd get over it, that attraction would come back, that I was just in a weird phase. I suggested we join a gym together. Framed it as a couples thing, something fun we could do. Jake agreed enthusiastically. We went twice. His work schedule made it impossible to maintain, and I wasn't about to go alone and leave him feeling guilty. I bought healthy cookbooks. Started making elaborate meals. Jake appreciated it, but would also grab fast food on his way home because he was starving from skipping lunch. I felt frustrated, then felt awful for feeling frustrated. What kind of person resents their husband for eating? Year 4 of marriage. Jake was probably 55 pounds heavier than our wedding day. Still the same sweet guy who brought me coffee in bed on Sundays, who listened to my complaints about work drama, who remembered every anniversary and birthday with thoughtful gifts. I felt like a monster. I was avoiding intimacy with my husband because of weight gain. I knew how that sounded. I knew what that made me. So I decided not to tell anyone. Not my friends, not my sister. I smiled in our photos, posted anniversary tributes on social media about my amazing husband, acted like everything was perfect, while internally I was building this wall between us. That's when Marcus started at my company. He was everything Jake wasn't. Tall, athletic, the kind of guy who posted gym selfies and ran marathons. He flirted with me from day one. I shut it down initially, mentioned my husband. Marcus backed off, but stayed friendly. We worked together on a few projects. He was charming, funny, made me feel attractive in a way I hadn't felt in years. I told myself it was harmless. Office banter. Everyone has work friends. Then Marcus asked me to grab drinks after a late project session. Just colleagues unwinding. Nothing weird about that. I said yes. 1 drink became 3. We talked about everything. His recent divorce, I told him things weren't perfect at home. Didn't specify what, just vague enough to open the door. He touched my hand across the table. Just for a moment. You deserve to feel wanted, he said. I went home and Jake had fallen asleep on the couch. Takeout containers on the coffee table. His work laptop still open. I looked at him and felt this wave of resentment, so strong it scared me. Not at him, at myself, for feeling trapped in a marriage where I couldn't even admit what was wrong. I started having more drinks with Marcus. Met him for lunch. Texted him things I should have been telling my husband. I knew exactly what I was doing even as I told myself it wasn't cheating. We weren't physical. We were just friends. Jake asked who I was texting all the time. I said it was work stuff, people from the office. Technically true. He suggested we go to couples counseling, said he could feel me pulling away. I told him he was being paranoid, that work was just busy. I watched him doubt his own perception and did nothing to reassure him. The first time Marcus kissed me, we were in his car after happy hour. I kissed him back. Told myself it was a mistake, couldn't happen again. It happened again, 2 days later. Then again. Then it stopped being just kissing. I was having a full affair. Meeting Marcus at his apartment during lunch breaks. Making up evening work events to spend time with him. Deleting messages. Creating a whole separate life. And here's the worst part. I felt alive again. Desired. Marcus's hands on my body made me feel like a woman instead of just someone's wife. The sneaking around added this thrill I hadn't felt in years. I started dressing better, wearing makeup more often. Jake noticed, said I looked beautiful, asked if we could try date nights again. I made excuses, told him I was too tired, then went to Marcus's place and had sex with the kind of passion I'd been denying my husband for 2 years. 3 months into the affair, I realized I was fantasizing about leaving Jake, imagining what life with Marcus would be like, someone who took care of his body, who made me feel attractive, who didn't make me feel guilty just for wanting physical chemistry. I started researching divorce, looking up lawyers, calculating finances. I told Marcus I was thinking about ending my marriage. He got quiet, said we should slow down, that he wasn't looking for anything serious so soon after his divorce. That should have woken me up, should have made me realize I was throwing away my marriage for someone who saw me as a fling. Instead, I just felt rejected on 2 fronts and kept the affair going because at least it was something. My sister asked me at Sunday brunch if everything was okay with Jake. Said he'd seemed distant when she saw him. I told her he was fine. We were fine. Stop worrying. She looked at me like she didn't quite believe it, but didn't push. Jake tried everything that last month. Surprised me with my favorite flowers. Planned a weekend getaway. Asked if we could talk about what was happening between us. I shot down every attempt, too wrapped up in my own mess to notice I was destroying someone who loved me. Then I stayed at Marcus's place, too late one Tuesday. Forgot to check my phone. Came home at 11 p.m. to find Jake still awake, sitting at the kitchen table. "Where were you?" he asked. Not angry, broken. I said I'd been working late. An emergency project. He nodded slowly. "Your office building has been dark for 3 hours. I drove by." My stomach dropped. I started making up something about going to a colleague's house to work, but Jake held up his hand. "Just tell me the truth. Please, are you seeing someone?" I could have lied, could have gaslit him, acted offended, turned it around. Instead, I just stood there silent, and my silence told him everything. He started crying. This man, who'd never raised his voice at me, who'd treated me like I was precious, just broke down. "Is it because of how I look?" he asked. "Because I gained weight?" I should have denied it, should have said it had nothing to do with that. But I was so tired of lying, and so I said, that didn't help. The look on his face, like I'd physically struck him. He asked how long. I said 3 months. He asked who. I told him someone from work. He asked if I loved this person. I said I didn't know. "You don't know," he repeated. "You threw away 7 years for someone you don't even know if you love." He moved to his brother's place that night, took just a bag of clothes and his laptop, left everything else. I sat in our empty house and felt relief, like a weight had lifted. I texted Marcus that Jake knew, that I'd probably be filing for divorce soon. Marcus replied the next morning, said this was moving too fast for him, that he thought we'd agreed this was casual. He thought it was best if we kept things professional at work. So I destroyed my marriage for a man who was dumping me via text less than 12 hours after my husband found out. I went to work and everyone knew. Not about Marcus, about the separation. Jake's brother worked in the same business park. Word spread fast in our professional circle. People looked at me differently. A few gave sympathetic smiles, assuming Jake was at fault. One friend asked if I was okay. Said she'd heard Jake had let himself go, and it must have been hard being married to someone who'd given up. I let her think that, nodded sadly, accepted her support, acted like I was the victim of circumstance when I'd been actively betraying my husband for months. Jake's mom called me. She'd always treated me like a daughter. "What happened?" she asked. "Jake won't tell me details, just says you grew apart." He was protecting me, even in his devastation. Jake was protecting my reputation. I mumbled something about compatibility issues, growing in different directions. She said she was sorry, that she'd always hoped we'd work out. The divorce process started. Jake was fair to a fault, split everything evenly, didn't fight me on the house, just wanted it done quickly. His lawyer was aggressive, but Jake kept reining him in. "I just want to move on," he told me at our one face-to-face meeting. He looked terrible, lost weight already. But not in a healthy way. Dark circles under his eyes. I felt a twist of something, guilt, maybe, but pushed it down. This was for the best. We'd both be happier apart. That's what I told myself as I signed the papers. As I watched him walk out of the lawyer's office and out of my life. As I updated my social media status to single and received dozens of supportive messages from people who had no idea what I'd done. Marcus and I maintained professional distance at work. Polite, cordial, nothing more. I'd catch him flirting with the new receptionist sometimes and feel pathetic for ever thinking I'd meant something to him. I tried dating, downloaded the apps, went on a few dates with guys who seemed interested, until they found out I was newly divorced. Then they'd get weird, ask what happened, and I'd give vague answers that made them lose interest. My apartment felt empty. I'd kept most of our furniture, but it just reminded me of the life I'd dismantled. I'd scroll through old photos sometimes. Jake and me hiking, at my cousin's wedding, on our honeymoon in Mexico. He looked happy in all of them. I looked happy too, but I couldn't remember if I actually had been, or if I'd been performing even then. 6 months after the divorce, I saw Jake's Instagram post. He was at a gym, shirt off, visible abs. The caption was about his fitness journey, thanking his trainer and his brother for support through a tough year. 200 likes in an hour. Comments from women I didn't recognize, calling him inspirational, asking about his routine. I felt something ugly coil in my chest. He'd actually done it, lost the weight, gotten fit, become the version of himself I'd wanted while we were married. I told myself I was happy for him, that this was good. He was moving on, getting healthy. It had nothing to do with me. Then I saw him at a coffee shop 3 months later. Walked in, and there he was, looking like a completely different person. Well-fitted clothes showing off a trim physique. Expensive watch I didn't recognize. Talking to a beautiful woman who was laughing at something he'd said. He saw me. Our eyes met. He nodded politely, the way you'd acknowledge a stranger, and turned back to his conversation. I ordered my coffee and left, hands shaking. Sat in my car and went through his Instagram properly. New job at a tech startup, senior position, posts from networking events, startup conferences, photos with friends I'd never met, and pictures with the woman from the coffee shop, Melissa, a product designer at his company. Recent photo them at a beach in Bali, his arm around her, both of them tan and happy. Caption about finding unexpected joy. The comments killed me. People congratulating him on finding someone who appreciated him. Someone saying, Melissa was gorgeous, inside and out. His brother commenting, you deserve this, man. I went back further. Posts from the early divorce days, gym selfies with captions about channeling pain into progress. Inspirational quotes about growth and change. Pictures of him hiking mountains I'd always said I wanted to climb but never made time for. He'd become everything I'd wanted him to be after I'd left, and he'd done it without me. For himself. Maybe despite me. I started following his social media obsessively. Watched his life upgrade in real time. New apartment in the city, modern and sleek. Posts about angel investing in startups. Photos from exclusive events. His whole life had leveled up, while mine had stayed stagnant. I'd lost weight too. Stress weight from the divorce. Not healthy weight. My job was the same. My apartment was the same. My life was smaller somehow. Meanwhile, Jake was thriving in ways I'd never seen during our marriage. My friend Ashley asked me once if I regretted the divorce. We were wine drunk, and she'd been following Jake's glow up too. Do you ever think about what if? She asked. I laughed it off, said we'd grown apart, that I was happy for him, that we both made the right choice. But alone that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if I'd been honest about the attraction issues? What if we'd gone to counseling? What if I'd supported him with fitness instead of judging him? What if I'd never started anything with Marcus? I drafted a text to Jake. Deleted it. Drafted another. Deleted that too. What would I even say? Sorry I blew up our marriage because you gained weight, but now that you're hot again, want to reconsider? I saw Jake's engagement announcement 8 months ago. Melissa, the woman from the coffee shop. Gorgeous ring. Beautiful photo of them in front of a sunset. Hundreds of likes. Comments about how perfect they were together. His mom commented, finally, Jake gets the happiness he deserves. That one gutted me. The implication clear. He deserved better than what he'd had. Better than me. I'd been with a few guys since the divorce. Nothing serious. One guy I dated for 2 months before he said I seemed emotionally unavailable. He wasn't wrong. I couldn't open up because the truth of what I'd done sat between me and anyone new. I thought about reaching out after seeing the engagement, congratulating him, reestablishing some kind of friendly connection. I typed out a message, hey Jake, saw your news. Congrats, you look really happy. I stared at it for 20 minutes, then deleted it. What was the point? To make myself feel better? To insert myself into his happiness. He'd moved on completely. I was just the failed first marriage he'd overcome. My sister got married last month. Jake wasn't there, obviously, but his brother was married to my cousin. At the reception, I overheard Jake's brother talking to someone about him. He's doing amazing. That startup's about to have a major acquisition. He's making real money now. Totally different league. Someone asked about Melissa. She's great for him. Supportive, ambitious, got her own thing going. Total partner. You know? They push each other. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried in a stall. Not because I was still in love with Jake. I didn't even know if I'd ever really loved him properly. I cried because I'd had that. I'd had a partner who would have pushed me, supported me, grown with me. And I'd thrown it away because I was too shallow and cowardly to address one fixable problem. The weight wasn't even the real issue. It was my inability to be honest, my choosing of ego over vulnerability, my taking the easy, destructive path instead of the hard, constructive one. I went on a date last week. Nice guy, successful, attractive. Over dinner, he asked about my divorce. I gave my usual, vague answer. He pressed a little. Was it mutual? What happened? And for the first time, I told something close to the truth. I cheated, I said. My husband gained some weight. I couldn't handle it. And I had an affair, instead of talking to him about how I felt. The guy's expression shifted. Polite, but cooling. We finished dinner, but there was no second date. I wasn't surprised. I found myself drafting another message to Jake yesterday. Not congratulations this time. An apology. Jake, I know you've moved on, and I have no right to contact you. But I need you to know I'm sorry. Not just for the affair, but for every moment I made you feel less than you were. For choosing cruelty over honesty. So wasting years we could have spent actually dealing with problems instead of me hiding from them. You deserved better than what I gave you, and I'm glad you found it. I hope you're truly happy. I wrote it all out, poured everything into it. Then I saved it in my drafts and didn't send it, because what good would it do? It would just be me making myself feel better at the expense of his peace. The best thing I can do for Jake is leave him alone to enjoy the life he's built. But here's what I haven't told anyone. The thing that keeps me awake at night. The night before Jake found out about the affair, that Tuesday when I came home late, I'd been at Marcus's apartment. We'd had sex, and afterward, I'd looked at Marcus lying next to me and felt nothing. No grand passion, no deep connection, just empty satisfaction and the creeping awareness that I'd destroyed my marriage for something hollow. I could have ended it right then. Could have gone home, never seen Marcus that way again, and Jake never would have known. The affair could have died quietly, and I could have focused on fixing my marriage. Instead, I stayed at Marcus's place, scrolling through my phone. I saw Jake had texted me earlier. Want to try that new Italian place this weekend? Just the two of us? I miss you. I read that message while lying next to another man. And instead of feeling guilt or horror at what I'd become, I felt annoyed. Annoyed at Jake for being sweet when I was actively betraying him. Annoyed at myself for feeling annoyed. Annoyed at the whole situation. So I deliberately stayed late. I knew Jake would worry. I knew he might drive by my office. Part of me wanted him to find out because I was too cowardly to end it myself. I manufactured my own discovery. I didn't slip up. I orchestrated the confrontation because I wanted out, but couldn't admit that I was the problem. Jake didn't catch me. I essentially forced him to. And when he asked if it was about his weight, I could have lied. Could have said no, it was about me, about my own issues, about anything that wouldn't have struck at his deepest insecurity. But I told the truth in the cruelest possible way, because some part of me wanted him to hurt, like I'd been hurting. Wanted him to feel inadequate, like I'd felt trapped. I weaponized his vulnerability, because I was too broken to take responsibility for my own choices. That's the piece I've never told anyone. I didn't just cheat because of attraction issues. I didn't just make mistakes. I actively chose the most destructive path at every turn because it was easier than being honest with Jake, with myself, with anyone. And now I watch him live this incredible life with someone who probably deserves him, while I'm stuck in the same apartment, same job, same empty existence I created for myself. People think I'm getting what I deserve, karma for the shallow woman who left a good man. But karma would be too clean. This isn't punishment from the universe. This is just consequences, natural results of my own actions. The life I built by choosing comfort over courage, ego over empathy, selfishness over partnership. I saw Jake's latest Instagram post this morning. He and Melissa at some charity gala. He's wearing a tux, she's in an elegant gown. They look like the kind of couple that appears in magazines. The caption talks about giving back and supporting causes they care about. Jake, my Jake, who used to fall asleep on our couch in stained t-shirts, is now the kind of man who attends galas and talks about philanthropy. And he did it all without me. Maybe because of losing me. I draft messages I'll never send. I imagine scenarios where I reach out and he somehow forgives me, wants to try again. But those are fantasies, and I'm too old for fantasies now. The truth is simpler and harder. I destroyed something real for something fake. And by the time I realized what I'd done, it was too late. Jake didn't just move on. He evolved completely. And the woman he became, evolved for, doesn't see him as a fixer-upper or a compromise. She sees him as he is, and that's enough for her. I'll probably never contact him, never apologize, never get closure or forgiveness. I'll just watch from a distance as his life gets better and better, and I'll know that I had a chance at that happiness and chose to burn it down. My therapist asks me what I'm looking for by telling this story. Absolution, understanding, permission to stop feeling guilty. Honestly, I'm telling it because I need someone to understand that it's possible to make every wrong choice, know you're making wrong choices, and still not be able to stop yourself. That you can be both victim and villain in your own story. That regret doesn't change anything, but you carry it anyway. People will read this and think I'm terrible. They're right. People will say I got what I deserved. They're also right. But being right doesn't make it hurt less, and it doesn't give me back the life I destroyed. I'm telling this now because Jake's wedding is in 3 months. I saw the save the date on his mom's Facebook. She didn't unfriend me after the divorce. Beautiful destination wedding in Italy. Everything I used to say I wanted when we talk about renewing our vows someday. He's gonna marry someone else in the country I always wanted to visit. Probably looking better than he ever did with me. Surrounded by people who've only known him as the successful, fit, confident version of himself. And I'll be here, same apartment, same job, same lonely existence that I chose with every selfish decision I made. So yeah, I cheated because he gained weight. Now he's fit, rich, won't take me back. And honestly, I don't blame him. I wouldn't take me back either. I just need you to know it wasn't as simple as everyone thinks. And also, that it was exactly that simple. I was shallow, I was cruel, and I destroyed the best thing in my life because I couldn't be honest about one thing. The question I can't answer, the one that keeps me up at night. Would I do it differently if I could go back? I want to say yes. I want to believe I'd be braver, kinder, better. But I look at who I was then, and who I am now, and I'm not sure I've changed enough to make different choices. Maybe that's the real punishment, not Jake's success, but knowing that I'm still the person who made those choices. Still the woman who chose easy destruction over hard honesty. And maybe I always will be.